Wow. Boy, I haven't had a standing O in a long time. Wow, that is amazing. Wow, thank you. Wow, thank you. No, wow. Well, first of all, wow, I've never had that before, so thank you so much. And number two, I want you to know this. When I was beginning to do presentations, I'll say something about this group in a minute, but I'll never forget, Don asked me to speak. This was right around the Boreas time. And I was just kind of starting to learn how to speak and, thinking about writing a book and all this, and I was super excited about it. And then I get this notice from Don that, Dan, you're going to speak on this date, and we're going to be in the basement of Grumpy's. This is the Optimist Club. How many of you remember that? Right? I mean, I thought, are you kidding me? I'm supposed to talk about optimism and we're meeting at Grumpy's? I mean, I thought, wow, that was, thanks, Don. I really appreciate that. So I just want to say this, that, so my wife asked me this morning, so where are you speaking today? And I said, I'm speaking, this is a get to, not a have to. I said, I'm speaking amongst so many friends and so many people that I respect and admire. And I just want to know that the Optimist, you have invested in me as a person. I'm forever thankful. I'm a proud member of this group. It started with a guy by the name of Don Salverda that was a little bit, I'll say the word pesky, but but the right word is persistent. Okay, so let's use that word. But it was pesky, and I said, well, I got to come. I got to just show up, and I did, and I just fell in love with what you're all about. So I just want to first start out with this, and I know I'm speaking amongst friends that it's just a privilege and honor to be here. Today's a gift. And I believe that sincerely. And many of you know I've got a daughter that went through cancer, and something like that changes your life. She's in a good spot today, but every day I just thank the Lord for the day, because it's a new day, and that's what's promised to us, nothing else. And so I'm just honored and privileged to be with all of you this morning and share some fun stuff with you. Number two, I think that two words we don't say enough of is the words thank you. I think that we don't say that enough, and I know optimists do. So first of all, I just want to thank, and I'd like them to stand because they do lots of work for all of you, but Chuck and Karen, the president and vice president, do amazing things for this club. Let's give them a round of applause, and I love them. Thank you. I think that's, thank you to you too. There's a lot of work that goes into these to really make these successful and fun. The second thank you is to all of you, as I said before. I look around this room, I know so many in this room and so many tables, and if I don't know you, I'd like to get to know you. I believe life is about connections, relationships, and all of that. The last thing I just want to say before we dive into our topic, my life has been a little bit different, and it's taken a little bit of a turn. Spire and Highway merged together January 1. Honestly speaking, I've been working on that for about a year and a half. It's two credit unions coming together, about $2 billion each, and today we're over $4 billion, serving over 250,000 people. But the secret sauce is, if you've ever seen our commercials or our advertising, we never talk about products, never talk about rates. We talk about optimism. We talk about what's good in life. We just talk about people. Here's my very quick, fun story. We're going to dive into our topic. I got this call about 4 or 5 years ago, and he was adamant and persistent. It wasn't Don. He was persistent, and this person wanted to talk to me. So, of course, when someone calls, we got the person through. I was ready to talk to him. And he was 78 years old, and he was mad. And I thought, okay, I get the really good stuff, and you get the really bad stuff as a CEO or whatever role you're in. And so I said, well, tell me what's up. And he says, I'm 78 years old, and he says, I watch TV every day. And I see your mug on the TV every day. And I thought, oh boy, here we go. And he starts thanking me about bringing some positivity in a divisive world. And he's going on and on. So then I said, okay. I said, where do you do your banking at Spire at the time? He says, heck no, I don't bank at Spire. I bank at Wells Fargo, but I just like the commercials. So I thought that was pretty cool. So that was kind of my day brightener there. So anyways, optimism, we can bring it in everything that we do and everything that we're all about. Well, let's get into Carnival. So what we have here on the screen is you're going to hear some wisdom from 3 kings, 2 former kings. I'm one of those. You're also today going to hear from the Queen of Snows, because I just want you to know that the rigor that goes in front of a carnival, the training, I'll call it competition, the work that they do, these are really well-respected, established women leaders in our community. And we've got one in Jennifer here, and she's going to tell her story. I want you to hear about how they have a full-time job as well as the Kings, and yet they believe in giving back. And then lastly, you're going to also hear from the Prime Minister, who I call as the keeper of the family, and that person is Danny Ross, and she's amazing, and you're going to hear about her as well, from her. So, and in Carnival time, we just finished up 10 days of Carnival. One of my most favorite things is a little bit of ego, a little bit of pride, but I'll walk through downtown St. Paul, and if you're a Boreas, you walk down the skyway, these people just say, "Hail Boreas," everywhere you go. And I could have that every day, right? But here's the deal. It's an honor to give back, and you're going to hear about Winter Carnival and why we do it. So what I want to do, and by the way, hail the Optimist. So what I want to show you is Winter Carnival started in 1886. Really quick, I won't tell a story really well as others, but in 1885, James J. Hill was having lots of success in the Twin Cities. The Twin Cities was starting to take off. This reporter from New York came into Minnesota in the Twin Cities and wanted to find out about what in the world is going on in the Twin Cities. What's happening? What kind of water are they drinking? Why all the success? It was like 40 below the 2 days the reporter was here. The reporter went back to New York Times, and said, "It is the Siberia of the United States, do not go there." Seriously, that was the thing. So talk about optimism, think about this. J.J. Hill and all the business leaders said, you know what, let's lean into this. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to celebrate winter, and we're going to have fun with winter. We're going to show the world that winter is fun. So in 1886, they started this crazy thing called the Winter Carnival in St. Paul, capital city. And the business leaders, it was an honor and privilege. To this day, it's an honor and privilege to be in Carnival, and we'll talk to you a little bit about that. But I love that story. Think about it. It's the longest running festival in the United States. And it's the second longest running festival in the world. I don't know which one it is, but it's literally got, in the United States, this is the festival. It did have a couple blips and stops during some of the World Wars I and II, but it's the longest running festival, so 138 years. So our Boreas this year is representing 138 years, so it's pretty amazing. I'm going to spend literally 2 minutes, but I think it tees it up. This is an old handout I had from my year. I was 2015. On your desk is the legend of the St. Paul Winter Carnival. If you could just grab that. I know it's pretty small print, but I do want to just touch on the legend. There is a legend of Winter Carnival. This legend was written in the 1930s by a gentleman by the name of Madden. His son was a Boreas not too long ago, about 20 years ago. But I want you to open up this little booklet. And I just want you to see the legend of King Boreas. On the first page, I know it's small, but I just want to read this to you. As the eldest, Boreas was granted the king of the Winter Carnival, and he assigned to each of his brothers. Boreas has 4 brothers, north, east, west, south winds. So think of St. Paul center, and in the past it was North St. Paul, West St. Paul, East St. Paul, and South St. Paul, and each one had their own thing, right? So anyways, Boreas has 4 princes from the different winds. All right, so I want you to think of this. The north wind, the cold, it's the coldest. That prince wears white and talks about cold, blustery. It's Boreas' oldest brother. The west wind is Yeehaw, western, West St. Paul. They bring the gun, they bring the western, they have a lot of fun. The east wind, East St. Paul, that prince brings a lot of mischievous things. I mean, steals things, doesn't show up on time. I mean, it's just a hassle, but the east wind is that brings that mantra. And then the south wind, our Boreas this year was a south wind before he was Boreas. The south wind brings the heat. And it brings the heat, like I'm going to bring it, right? Well, this year what's really fascinating, and you're going to see on his scepter, he's got a red ball representing the south wind. But this year, what happened to our winter? It wasn't there. So our Boreas, we have to blame him for it or like him for it. But our Boreas this year is supposed to bring cold, and he brought heat. All right, so I just want you to look at that second page. It says, an ideal place, I'll make St. Paul the capital of my domains. So they came up with this that King Boreas is here to celebrate winter. But then the second paragraph, we have this pesky guy by the name of Vulcanus Rex, the god of fire. This is the Vulcans. That's another story, and I pray for him every day. But anyway, so there's this fight between heat and cold. The Vulcans represent summer. The Vulcans represent heat. Actually, the south winds kind of like Vulcanus Rex because they got that winter or that summer feel, that hot feel. So there's a tension during Carnival. That's why Vulcans like to make these visits and disrupt the king, because the king is supposed to celebrate winter. But the Vulcans keep coming in and disrupting it. But long story short, on the 10th day, which we just finished celebrating, the Vulcans really overthrow King Boreas, signifying that summer is coming right around the corner. And Boreas retreats and then has their whole year, and then we do it all over again. So there's a legend that's really a part of, some people just think Winter Carnival, it sounds fun, they do some fun stuff, but I want you to know there's a lot of intentionality behind it. In each wind and each princess, they bring a different component to Winter Carnival. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah, there you go. So this booklet here was one that I handed out, but it's one that, just take a look at it, and it's kind of fun. All right, I just want to, I'm going to do this. I like to wander when I speak, and I know Lauren said I should stay on the podium, but on this one, I just like to wander for a second, okay? Part of the legend, this is part of Dan Stoltz. Winter. Winter, to me, stands for wow and wonder. I was an East Side boy, 5 years old. We didn't have a lot of money, and my dad would bundle us up, and we'd go to Winter Carnival. We'd see these Vulcans, we see these kings, and we see all this royalty, and we see all this fun. There is wonder in these kids' eyes. I mean, every Boreas, every family can talk about the wonder that you're bringing every day in Winter Carnival. The other W is wow. For adults, you're in there and you're hearing them, all this stuff going, so you're creating wow for adults and you're creating wonder for kids. The I, think about it with Optimist, it's about impact and influence. The only reason we're doing this is about impacting and influence. We're about literally just improving lives, making people smile, giving people encouragement, staying optimistic, but impact and influence, 350 to 400 visits, every one of those opportunities you have a chance. Okay, the N is, I always like to tell my royal family, never again. You're never, ever, ever going to have this chance again. Just like in life. We're never going to have another Optimist Club. You're just going to waste this hour with me. You're never going to get it back, okay? I promise. But you know what? Never again. There's never, so you got to think about every moment, every opportunity. It might be a grind. Do you know how hard it is to be in 100-degree parades, 3 of them in the summer, in the middle of July, when it's 100 degrees, and you're wearing these crazy outfits that are hot, and you got to be smiling, and you got to go through 3 of those in a day. That's a part of it, right? So impact, influence, and never again. Yeah, maybe that's a good thing too, right? All right, the T for me stands for together and team. And the reason I say that is today you're going to just hear from Boreas and his queen and the prime minister. They were gracious enough. We just finished Carnival on Saturday. They made, like I say, over 60 visits. They've got lives, they've got families, they've got businesses. And I said, please, please, the Optimists are the best in the world. I'd love for you to come and tell your story. So, but normally, 95% of the travel is done as a pack, as a team. So the Winter Carnival doesn't split. The king and queen don't go to Red Wing and the rest of the family go to Little Canada. It's all of you. And how many are in the family? 16 people. I will tell you, it's probably the hardest leadership lesson I've ever had in my life. I've led on a lot of things, but when you're talking about 16 volunteers and trying to keep them positive, and they're all in it for different reasons, it costs money, you're giving up time, it's a tough leadership thing. But for a full year, you're doing a lot. But anyways, that's what, to me, the E stands for, is energy and enthusiasm. Every time you meet somebody, you got to make it real. You got to make it big. You can't just do it. You got to bring it. And the last thing is the R. It stands for royalty. And the reason I like to say that is the Vulcans try to get us to become less royal. It's kind of fun, right? People seem to like the Vulcans. They get to smear stuff and act goofy and be goofy, and they are goofy, you know. And so, but our job is to be royal and regal. And so when people see the crowns on the ladies' heads, or they see the Wynn brothers having fun, it's important that we do that. All right, so we're going to get on to Winter Carnival, but I do have to do one Dan Stoltzism. So many of you know that I want to write a book, and I've been in the process. People like Manny have helped me through some of these things, and it's gotten derailed a little bit. People have heard me speak on this, but I'm going to do it in less than 2 minutes. About 15 years ago, I wanted to find out what success was all about. I asked 75 people that I knew and respected, and I took notes. And I said to all those 75 people, these were people I respected, admired, I wanted to be. And I said, define success. See, the world will tell you success is the car you drive, the house you live in, how much is in your checking account, the title you have in front of your name. None of that matters. Those are nice. I mean, those are kind of nice, but that's not success. Not one of them said that was success. They said two things in all my discussions, and they weren't the same words, but the words came out. The first one was that they were go-getters. I learned from all these people that they fell down 6 times, they got up 7. They fell down, they got up. No one has this kind of life or this kind of business. I'm in banking. Believe me, the dial is never straight up. You have tough times, you have valleys, things go through it, but go-getters and successful people keep going after it. They don't let failure they don't let failure hit them. They say, I'm going after it. But that wasn't enough. There's an and with it. I also heard in every one of them that they were go-getters and go-givers. They gave back their time, talent, and treasures. Time, we all have 24 hours a day. Nobody in this room has more than 24 hours. Give some of that back, right? Talent, no one in this room is more talented than anybody else. Give back some of your talent, and treasures is money. Give back some of your money to what you're passionate about before you pay bills and pay everything else, pay it forward. So anyways, that's in my book. That's one of the chapters. I had to share it because that's optimism, right? That's what optimism is all about, and that's who all of you are. All right, now let's get on to this. So why did we do this? I mean, why in the world did we even put ourselves up to this Winter Carnival thing? I want you to know this also, there's significant training that goes in this. So when a Boreas is selected, like next year's Boreas is already selected, that Boreas is going to go through rigor about how to present themselves, how to be, what you have to do, the protocol, all that. All the ladies go through this process. Vulcans actually go through their own thing. You would never know it, but they have their own protocol. We all have training, so it's not just like a group of people saying, let's do this. There's a rigor to it. There's a mantra. So every King Boreas comes in for their year, and you'll hear our current Boreas talk about his mantra. My mantra in 2015 was to chase your dreams. I'm a dream chaser. And that was one thing, everywhere I went, I tell people, I don't care if you're 99 years old, 3 years old, you chase your dreams. I'm chasing my dreams. So that was my mantra, and that's what my family lived through. And then give back. I mean, that's what life is all about, is giving back, making a difference, and that's what Carnival allows you to do. All right, so I'm going to introduce to you a King Boreas that is a mentor of mine, a good friend, and he's the one that kind of asked me to be Boreas. I didn't know him before that. He's Mr. White Bear Lake. His name's Bill Fassard. He owns Rudy's in country, no, I always say country, it's Western.
White Bear Country Inn.
White Bear Country Inn, yes, Bill, I know that. So please go there and visit, yes. But I'm going to introduce him, again, one quick story. We're staying right on time, and we're going to finish on time. My story with Bill and I talk about optimism is this. 2018, the Super Bowl was coming to town. 2018, all the activity was in Minneapolis. We're Winter Carnival people. We're St. Paul. And guess what? The Super Bowl was during Winter Carnival. All the owners were staying at the St. Paul Hotel, but all the action was going in Minneapolis. I said to Bill, Bill, we got to build an ice palace. We got to build an ice palace. We got to show all the world people about what's unique about St. Paul and put ourselves on the map. Boy, we haven't built an ice palace for about 20-some years. So Bill and I went and looked at it, and it was going to cost us $1.4 million. We had to raise $1.4 million in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And guess what? Try selling a castle that is going to melt 3 days later, right? So you're really pushing the St. Paul thing. I have in my desk a Post-it note, so this speaks to you as optimists. I have a Post-it on my desk, and it says the word can't, and I have 88 ticks on it. I heard 88 times, city councils, police, you name it, insurers. Who wants to insure an ice palace, right? You get a little ice melt on that, that's kind of dangerous. It was 7 stories tall, 5,500 blocks. We had to use union labor. It was cold. But guess what? We did it because we were optimistic and we believed in it. And here's the really cool thing. The week later, on the front page of the LA Times, was the Ice Palace in 2018. Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome Boreas Rex from 2008, Mr. Bill Fassard. All right, Bill.
Gotta have fun. How's everyone doing today? Great. It's great being here. I was Boreas in 2008, and it was just an incredible experience. The crown and stuff like that, just different things. On the crown, you always include different things. The cornucopia is Thanksgiving. We do Thanksgiving Meals on Wheels every year, started that in 1970. The White Bear is White Bear Lake. The hospitality and French are the 2 other ones. So little things, how our crest is. Our mantra in 2008 was make a difference what you do every day. Optimist means being the best in the community. feeling good with health, happiness, and prosperity. I think St. Paul Winter Carnival offers those values. St. Paul Winter Carnival brings everyone together, celebrating St. Paul each winter with parades, ice carvings, Vulcan Snow Park, visits to the hospitals, senior facilities, schools, and many other St. Paul events. I've often asked, why do you do it? Is it good for business? And I'd have to say, yes, it is, personally and professionally. I'm a better speaker today because of my experience being Boreas. Holy God, the first weekend, first weekend of Winter Carnival, I did the King's Brunch, and I'm introduced and telling storytelling past Boreases and their accomplishments. Instead of going, ole, ole, I go, ole, ole, ole. And it was like, because the previous Boreas was a south wind. I got to tell you, it was, everybody was amused and laughing. It was the toughest talk I've ever done in my life. Am I better because of that experience? Yes. Is the St. Paul Winter Carnival good for business? Let's share a couple different things on it. 138-year run for the city, oldest festival, second oldest in the world. Estimated 400,000 people throughout the year take part in the events and activities. 1,500 school kids experience fun and excitement by visits by the royal family and the Vulcan crew at their schools. $5 to $6 million economic impact, hotel rooms, restaurants, bars, shopping. Media calculated impact for Carnival, it's in the millions. Some exposure this last year. Total story counts, just a couple facts, 634 stories. Total TV audience, Nielsen ratings or counts, over 13 million. Local TV audience, over 9 million people. TV local publicity, over $2 million. Total radio audience, over 8 million people. Radio publicity, 25,000. Difference by values and whatever. Social followers, over 6 million people. Social publicity value, like $60,000. Total online and print audience, 178 million hits. Online and print publicity, millions. And this is Niemer Femer is a public relations company that works with St. Paul Winter Carnival. They just got me these facts yesterday. I mean, it's incredible. The people that you touch, sharing the magic of what St. Paul's all about, all the different things, what a cool town it is. There's a lot of publicity value promoting our saintly city. National Geographic selected St. Paul, Minnesota as one of the top 4 choices to visit in the winter. USA Today selected St. Paul, Minnesota as the #1 place to visit in the winter. Building friendships. First, the royal family and Vulcan crew are in many parades and community functions. As you heard, we do over 400 visits in our year as well in 2008. Through these visits or events, we speak about St. Paul and invite everybody to our city, where we build lifelong friendships. I think of the friendships I've made through Carnival. You really get to know many wonderful people. You learn what they do. You build trust. I think of our current Boreas, a past south wind. Our Boreas this year just making a huge difference. Made a huge difference in 2018. He's back playing it again and is going to have an incredible year. People do business with people they trust. Through the Winter Carnival of friendships, you meet new people, you become friends, you build trust, you support each other and their businesses. You buy and work with companies and people you know and trust. Ties to the Winter Carnival. Our family's been part of the St. Paul Winter Carnival since I was young. My dad was Prime Minister in 1950 and Boreas in 1963. He was King Boreas at 27, and I was Boreas 72. My uncle was Prime Minister in 1957. My godfather was Boreas in 1954, the year I was born. I've been told there's pictures of us when I was as a baby. I've not found them, but it would be fun to see. My first business mentor was Bob Gizelbeck. He was Commodore of the Minneapolis Aquatennial the year my dad was Boreas. And I just met him, and we just became friends and stuff like that. He's passed away, but I got to tell you, I've been in the hotel. I bought a hotel in '85 in St. Cloud. He's been with me the whole time. I mean, when he was alive and stuff like that, you could call him for anything. An incredible mentor. I met him through the Winter Carnival, and when he was at the Aquatennial. Scott Mueller, our 2008 Prime Minister's dad, was Boreas in 1973. Okay, so far I've talked about building business through relationships. Now let's talk about community. building a community, all of us working together to make St. Paul the special place it is to live, work, and play. Part of what makes a community special are volunteers. Volunteers run many organizations, school groups, nonprofits, fundraisers with a cause, and festivals. By Carnival, helping to build our businesses and friendships with people you trust, representing the best of our community, residents and businesses, just like the Optimists. Be the best at whatever you do. Make a difference. Festivals bring us all together. Think of all the volunteers that put on the St. Paul Winter Carnival. The different wind banquets, the different events, ice sculptures in Rice Park, Folk and Soul Park, and the parades. Speaking of the parades, think of all the families that come to our city last Saturday for the Torchlight Parade. Hundreds of people, thousands of people downtown seeing the overthrow of Boreas. Very traumatic. But it brings everyone together. The people in the parade are really making the city what it is, operating the city that day. Seniors are here with their grandkids and families and stuff like that for free, celebrating their community. Every community has, the parades bring people together, and sometimes people think, oh my God, that's a lot of work for that, but it's pretty special. This is one of the many events celebrating the Winter Carnival legend. Think of the many visits the royal family and Vulcan crew are making throughout the year. Visiting hospitals, visiting schools, nursing homes. What a gift to be able to do. To the many you visit, but in return, the smiles, the hugs, and the excitement to see you. A couple different stories. I went to Our Lady of Peace Hospice. It's a couple quick stories. I'll be quick. Going there and stuff like that, and hospice, been around for a long time and stuff. Our family's big, so we divided up in rooms and stuff. And I got a gal that in this room and stuff like that. I walk in, she said, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm with Bill Fusard with the Winter Carnival." And she said, "My husband loved the Winter Carnival." And I got my arm around her, holding her hand and stuff like that. And she said, "They told me I have 4 weeks to live. Let's talk," or something like that. Holy God. So we just start talking about Winter Carnival and fun, laughing and stuff like that. She had dentures. She was laughing so hard the teeth were coming out. I couldn't stop laughing. Frank Caulfield, our West Wind, came in. He said, "Bill, what are you talking about?" So like that, we're always rolling. But 2 weeks later, I went back just to double check, see how she's doing and stuff, and she was gone. To bring that much happiness to her in a short time, you have no idea what you say, but you make a difference. I was at a school with this little kid, comes up to me, and he's on a truck. And he rams in the back of my leg. He got my attention. He said, "You the king?" I said, "I am." He said, he's looking at, "I want to talk to you." I said, so I sit down on the ground, sitting eye to eye, and he said, "I want to hear about your castle." I said, "I want to hear about your castle." Everyone talks about Winter Carnival Castle and stuff like that. I said, how many, in your home, how many bedrooms and stuff like that? He told me about that. He told me how he played down in the basement with his siblings and, just his house, his castle. I said, "That is your castle." I said, "I have a castle. Our neighbors have castles. We all have our own castle." And we're sitting there and just to talk and stuff like that. But the guy has big eyes and stuff like that. "I got a castle." Just how you touch. The last story to talk about is Gillette Children's Hospital. I walk in, we all a group and stuff like that, and we go into one of the wings, and I go into I'm leading the group and stuff like that. We go in, there's a guy laying in a bed and stuff like that. And he said, again, "Who are you?" And I said, "Bill Fusard with St. Paul Winter Carnival, and we're here to bring you joy," not understanding that he's paralyzed in the bed and stuff like that. And you just see in his face. So Brooke, our queen, said, we're talking. She said, "I want to talk." So she talks with a couple of princesses and stuff like that. I went to other rooms, and every room was very special. When we're leaving, I said, I want to visit with that gentleman again. So I go in there and stuff, and I said, "I just hope I didn't invade your space and stuff like that." He came back and said, "I just want you to know, you changed my attitude being here and where I'm at and stuff like that." We just talked. He can move his head, but he was paralyzed. He's in a swimming accident in Cold Spring, Minnesota, at another hotel in St. Cloud. Just close, swimming accident. He's in his 20s. He's got some challenges, and you just shift people. It was incredible. And just leaving there, it was like, holy God, just making a difference in people's lives. So the visits make a difference to the culture of St. Paul. The message is very evident. We really care. Many people, St. Paul Winter Carnival has great leadership. Christian Winghagen is our volunteer board chair. Lisa Jacobson is the president. They work with many volunteer groups. Their talent in keeping within budgets, communicating with thousands of alumni at Carnival, managing media coverage, and showcasing the city of St. Paul. They do an incredible job, and I'm proud to be a part. Many people and companies make this festival so special. I'd like, if you'd like to volunteer, please join us. Is St. Paul Winter Carnival good for business? I believe so. Meeting and making many new friendships, growing our business, celebrating our communities of St. Paul, representing and promoting our saintly city, personal growth for our cast members, economic impact, media exposure, pride of the community, great leadership, volunteering to make a difference in our community, having fun, putting smiles on everyone's face. I believe St. Paul is a great, the St. Paul Winter Carnival is a great community and great festival, and it's great for business. Finally, I'd like to talk about sharing our smiles. Through these events that bring everyone together, we create happiness and joy in our community. As optimists say, look at the sunny side of everything and make your optimism come true. Thanks so much for having us. Enjoy.
Well, now you know how we raised 1.4 million. You can't not give when he talks, right? I mean, I thank you, Bill. Bill is a mentor of mine, and I love him honestly as a friend and brother. Now what I want to do is introduce to you the royal family here. We only have, not only, but we have the king, queen, and prime. So did the mic go off, or can you hear me? You can hear me. Okay, good, good. So what I'd like to do is introduce the prime, and then the prime will introduce the king and queen. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like to introduce Her Excellency, the Prime Minister of the Royal Court of Boreas Rex, the 87th, and the St. Paul Winter Carnival from the Royal House of Fury Motors. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Prime Minister Danny Ross.
My name is Danny Ross. I am the 2024 Prime Minister of the St. Paul Winter Carnival. In 2018, I was the West Wind Princess. You heard them talking about that ice palace. That was a magical year to be part of a royal family. We got to stand at the top of the ice palace and wave to people in St. Paul. It was phenomenal. Go ahead. Anyway, my dad was a Vulcan when I was in 7th grade. I grew up on the east side of St. Paul. That's how I got to be a part of just the magic of the Winter Carnival. I said I wanted to do that someday, and when I finally did, my dad said, well, you're old. And I said, well, that's okay, but I still want to try. So I did. That year I saw the inner workings of the royal family, but I won't pretend to even think that I knew what I did until I actually have lived it this year. Back then I said I do want to be a prime someday. As a princess, you sit back and people tell you where to go and what to do. The prime minister, we facilitate all of that. Back then I had a boy who was 15 and a boy who was 12, and my husband was a wonderful support system. Took him to all their sports. I missed maybe 3 appearances that whole year. But when I was done, and I said I need to focus on my family again. Prime Minister was a long ways out. I wanted to wait until my youngest was out of high school. So what do? I become a prime minister when my youngest is a senior in high school. The timing just worked that way. I had a good Boreas who requested me to be his prime minister, and I said, I can't turn that down. I can make it work. I have a good job that works with that. I work for the VA. I work in benefits, so veterans who come back from active duty service, who are injured, we make sure that they get the benefits that they are entitled to. The job that I have, we work with claims, and I authorize claims. They go through several claims processors to the end. I'm an authorizer. I'm reviewing it and making sure it's all correct, and sending back for correction if need be. The type of job I have is I don't worry about my job out of work. What's in my queue that day? If I go on vacation, other people take care of it. I'm not in charge of people. And throughout the years, with meetings with my coaches, they've asked, do you want to be a coach? Do you want to work in quality? Do you want more responsibility? And I always say no, because, kindly I say no, because all of my extra energy goes into the volunteering that I do and my family. So my kids are in sports. I have been, I'm the secretary of our Blue Line Club. My son, there's a lot of duties for captain parents for soccer. I've been a team manager multiple years. I'm on the all-night senior party committee. All of that is where I put my focus, and that all leads me to the qualifications for being the prime minister, I believe. They ask me, what is it like to be a prime minister? What do you do? I say I'm a sports team manager on steroids because there's a lot of work that's involved in this. Some of the things that I do, I gather information on the incoming characters. So in the summer, we were preparing. He's a secret until Carnival. So for 7 months, nobody knew that Steve was Boreas, but they became aware that I was the prime, so I became the face of the royal family. And as characters are announced, I need to work with them and get them information and gather information from them. I work with Boreas on how we envision the year. Everybody has a different vision. There's lots of mentor meetings. We work with our royal coordinators, Julie and Bill, to put together a schedule of all of those appearances. They get 1,000 requests a year for appearances for the royal family, and we're able to manage about 350 to 400. Again, I'm the face of the family for the pre-carnival events. There's about 20 to 25 events starting in October through January, pre-carnival. Super fun, but it gets to be a lot. And I also have to memorize a knighting ceremony, which is fun when you go and you see people's face, wow, that's pretty cool. It is cool. In January, I was the middle person for everything, for data collection. So I had the Carnival committee coming at me saying they need this. I had candidate committee coming to me, wins coming to me, and then I had to get information. I had to spit it back out. I needed information to give to my people, scheduling. So that took a lot out of me. That was crazy. I was setting my alarm for 3:30 in the morning because I start at 6. I work 4 10-hour days. And I'm on mandatory overtime, 20 hours a month. So fitting all that in, getting into my son's hockey games and getting all of the duties in, we somehow managed it. It's a blur, but it's very rewarding to be able to say that we got through that. Again, qualifications, I'm managing a team. The last time I managed anybody was in my 20s. I didn't know what I was doing then. Sometimes don't feel like I know what I'm doing now, but somehow we got through it. But something that I do is, it's kind of hokey, but I read a lot of advice columns. One of the advice columns I really like is called Ask a Manager. It's great for workplace advice from both sides. I also read a lot of other, on a daily basis. I have certain ones that I love. And what that's done is it's taught me a little bit about the human condition, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. Sometimes we were raised to think certain things are a certain way, and then you realize that's not always the case. So I think that has really helped me, especially in the last couple of weeks with the royal family, realizing you can't control everybody, you can't change everybody, you can only change how you respond to people. Our goal is to get everybody in our royal family to the finish line. We are sitting back and we want to make sure that they're going to have a really good year. And so we have to kind of roll with it a little bit. But again, these are all volunteers. So it's different than managing people who you employ and that you pay. Everybody comes into this role in the royal family for different reasons. They had history with their family. They had somebody talk to them about, they were a wind, so why don't you be a wind? Different roles. We have royal guards who don't get enough kudos. We tried this year for sure. They protect the family and they take a lot of the brunt work on to make sure that we're royal and regal. And so there's a lot of people to manage, and I think with the help of my family and the Royal coordinators and wonderful mentors, as the Boreas in the room, we're going to have a really successful year. And at this time, it is my pleasure, right, to introduce you to the mighty monarch of ice and snow, Boreas Rex the 87th, from the Royal House of Edward Jones, Steve Duty.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that kind introduction. We're glad to be here today. I'll keep it short and sweet, but I did want to mention my mantra because sometimes you might think that somebody wants to take this position because, oh boy, look at all the business contacts. I'm a financial advisor. Look at all you guys I can do business with. I think they want to know you got a little more depth than that, you know. And I did not take this position for those reasons. I took it because of the people. That was the first words that came out of my mouth was, why do you want to do this again? The people. I said that to my wife. I said that to Danny. We kind of get addicted to good people, I guess is the best way to say it. And one of the things I wanted to throw out there right now, I want you guys to help me out because my least favorite comment that anybody ever makes is, I'm not being negative, I'm just being realistic. So thank you for your creed, for your attitude. I put up with those people. I don't like being around them. Let's put it that way. Because we all got one or two in our lives, and you got to deal with them, and you do your best to just, work through them. So what I really wanted to mention, too, is the connections. I'm sitting at a table with Mr. Winfield, and we know some of the same people. Dr. Dave Webb, he and I worked together in South St. Paul. He was the superintendent when my children were going to school. So kudos to him for his work in South St. Paul. It just happens all the time. I had that happen all the time. And the other thing I want to say is I look at you guys, it's amazing to me that we go through a parade and the kids wave back, but kids of this age wave back and you can see it in their eyes too. You're like, why are they so excited? Well, you guys, we're all kids. You get a wave back from somebody. There's something to it. I cannot describe that. And just the connections. And what I wanted to do is a kudos to, we generally get selected for things by people that we trust and trust us. And I think when I first got involved, there was two guys that I sat down with. Their names are Tom and Greg, and they were very convincing that maybe I'd want to, instead of just sponsoring somebody, how about I participate in the carnival? And I was surprised. And 6 years later, sitting down with the two same guys, they're very persuasive. One sells homes and one sells cars, and I ended up with an extra house and 2 extra cars after that conversation. So, but what I really appreciated in earnest was those guys seeing something in me that I didn't necessarily think about. I appreciated the respect or the, just, hey, you'd be good at this, or we'd like you to be on board. So there's more to how we all got together as far as getting our group together. But I would be remiss if I didn't take the time to introduce to you Aurora, Queen of the Snows, from the Royal House of All Incorporated, Miss Jennifer Westerhouse. Before I let her go, I just wanted to say our mantra, I didn't even mention the mantra, I want to make sure I say it. Service and unity in the community, one snowball at a time. So we were trying to grab a few key words and have a little fun with it. Here is your queen, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thank you, Boreas. Am I on? Am I good? Okay. So many years ago, there was a girl standing out on the street corner. She was 5 or 6 years old, and this was in St. Paul Park, and a parade was going by, and she was in amazement and wonder at the sparkly crowns and the beautiful gowns. And then all of a sudden, this person in red and black starts running up to her and gave her a huge smile and a smudge. And what that person didn't know, this is a Vulcan, but that little girl was having a very hard time. She had a very hard time at home. And those things continued into her young adulthood. She became a first-generation college graduate. She helped her sister go to college. She sent money to family members when they needed it. And today I am proud to be standing before you as that little girl who grew up, and that memory stuck with me for so many years. It enabled me to realize that the kindness of a stranger can really do so much more than you realize. And so I first ran for Queen of the Snows in 2013, and I was not selected. I ran again in 2014, and I was not selected. And at the time, I was married, had children that were very young, and it was a dream of mine. And it was a dream of mine that I would just not let go. And so what I decided was, since my children were so young and life was so busy, I put that dream on hold for just a little bit. And so now, 10 years later, here I am as your 2024 Queen of the Snows. In learning about the Optimist Club, there's one creed, this is a fabulous creed, but there's one that stuck out particular to me, and it's to wear a cheerful countenance at all times and give every living creature you meet with a smile. And that is where it all started for me, truly. And so I just want to say thank you to all of you on behalf of our royal family for all that you do to serve your community and our youth. You really don't know exactly the impact that you're making, and that impact for me, it becomes a ripple effect. You see how one small thing you may do, whether it's just a smile or a hug or helping someone out, it really goes a long way. So don't ever underestimate the power that you have. Thank you. And now I believe Prime, do we have some business to attend to?
One of the fun things we do as the royal family is go around the realm and we honor citizens of the realm with a knighting ceremony. If I call your name, would you please come forward? Don Salverda. Chuck Gitson. Patty Sagert. Karen Schaub. Terry Gorman. Mike Erickson. Tony McCloney. Lynn Megan, and Dennis Stolp.
Don't worry, I don't have a speech. I just wanted to show you guys something. Youth Appreciation Week, Outstanding Senior 1979-1980 School Year, Steve Duty, Southwest Optimist Club. Thank you very much. I wanted to share that with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is an amazing crew. Let's give them a round of applause, please. Yeah, thank you. It's awesome. All right, I'm on the 2-minute, and you're not going to hear much from me because you've heard already a lot, but I am going to do this in 2 minutes, so put your seatbelt on. Each Boreas comes up with their own crest. I want you to see my crest and my year. Really quick, there's the crown, there's my wife's birthstone, my 3 kids. My faith is everything to me, so my faith is at top. Time, talent, treasures. I love that I went to Johnson High School, the Johnson Governors, and I also believe in leadership. Here's the scepter, which I love this, the power of the scepter. Mine was all about chasing your dreams, so these coins say DREAMS, the 4 Wynn brothers. I believe in giving back, that's the giving tree. And then lastly, in each of these eagles, I love golf, and their tongue is golf clubs. All right. All right. So here's what I want to say. Just thank you for your support. I know this is, these 3 that just spoke here, there's an amazing story. And then you think of the other 4 princesses and the princes and the whole family. It's all about giving back and making a difference. Thank you for having us here. I know Chuck has a couple things to wrap up, but again, thank you for having us, okay? Thank you.